right, our next partner session is by Meniga, how to help digital bank customers take back control in a time of crisis. This sharing will be by Kanika Mittal, head of APAC, Meniga.
Good evening to all our friends in Asia Pac, and a very, very warm good morning to our European friends. Hope you're all enjoying the first day of SFF. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. In our time here, we hope to draw your attention towards the unique challenges being faced by consumers today and how we can help. My name is Kanika Mittal, and representing Meniga, a leading AI-based digital banking fintech, which helps financial institutions drive greater customer engagement. And today, we're talking about how to help customers take back control in a time of crisis. But before we start looking at solutions, it is really important to understand our core problems that are faced by us today. Looking at this picture needs no words. This pandemic in 2020 has changed and impacted everyday lives significantly. Consumers and companies alike have faced unparalleled reality and have been forced to change their behavior drastically. Now let's look at an interesting trend of shop streaming, and I'm sure you can relate as well as I can. Millions of people have made purchases online for the first time in 2020. Online retailing has been massively accelerated due to the pandemic. According to data published by US Census Bureau, consumer spend on e-commerce was up by almost 32% during the second quarter. As per S&P Market Intelligence, and this is a very interesting statistic, Amazon.com's e-commerce revenue saw gains of almost 50% this year. Closer home in Singapore, online grocery shopping increased by 47%, and Singapore saw an increase in adoption of e-payments as well. And I don't think that these trends are going away. These trends are here to stay, something that we will all have to accommodate. Now let's understand a little bit more about the next generation. Today's digital natives are demanding more. And why is that? You type, they swipe. You click, they tap. You customize the template, they code their own. Born after 2002, today's digital natives are demanding experiences that are richer, more immediate, and above all, more intuitive than ever before. Here's another trend which is not really a stranger for all of us. The need for sustainability, and the need for sustainability has never been more urgent. Not only is this disruptive to life on the planet, but also to economies. As per the 2006 Stern Review on Economics of Climate Change, they estimated that climate change could cost 5% of global GDP per year. In recent years, change has gained much attention, which has led to an increase in carbon awareness where people need more accountability from the companies they interact with and from their governments. And last, but certainly not the least, and perhaps the most painful, financial problems. People worldwide need help with their financial lives. All over the world, people are losing their jobs and having trouble making ends meet. As per Global Euromonitor International, during the COVID-19 economic recession, public debt as a percentage of GDP is expected to grow by 20.5 percent points, while during the global financial crisis, it grew by 12.9 percent points, and hence it is significantly higher. Another shocking statistic, advanced economies in G20 will record up to 141% of GDP public debt in 2020, which is above the 116% seen at the end of World War II. I think we can take a moment here and understand that this is a very big problem that we are all facing together, and one of the biggest we've seen in the modern times. Job loss among the youth will continue throughout 2020 and could result in youth unemployment rates doubling. Between 10 and 15 million youth jobs may be lost across 13 countries in Asia Pac. And finally, everybody across demographics are being impacted by this equally. 1 in 5 people aged 52 and over reported that their overall financial situation was worse this year than before coronavirus outbreak. Older workers have been more negatively affected than retirees. Among older workers, almost 40% reported that their household income was now lower than in February. And many older individuals don't have a safety net or have wealth to help them weather the income shocks. Among those whose income had fallen, almost a quarter had household net financial wealth of less than £500 per person. So it is clear, looking at all these statistics and all this data, that people of all ages and walks of life are facing acute financial troubles due to job losses, loss of revenues, health concerns, and caring for loved ones. They need their banks to help with their personal finances, and they need this help now. People need support from their banks. And as a result, banking is changing. Because when the needs of your customers change drastically, if I may add, their banks and their service providers need to adapt to their evolving needs, both short term and long term. Let's look at another interesting review because in every adversity lies opportunity. 70% of Singaporeans surveyed by SingSaver said that they have frequently used digital banking since COVID started. This may be because of lack of access to traditional bank branches due to closure during COVID, inability to commute, or health concerns making people unable to leave their houses. In an independent study conducted by Meniga, 85% of bankers surveyed across Western countries agree that COVID-19 pandemic will force customers to rely more heavily on online and mobile banks. So how can banks rise to the challenge? Or how can we help banks rise to the challenge? By helping them become a trusted financial advisor through these adverse times. And in return, earn their customers' lifelong loyalty, create banking services that people actually like. Empowering customers to have more control over their finances is something that banks can enable seamlessly through digital platforms. And let me show you how in just a moment. Take a look at our hyper-personalized AI solutions. For instance, what you see in front of you is a very user-friendly face-like activity feed, easy to follow, categorized transactions with very simple colors and easy to digest user-friendly UI. Here is an example of weekly spending reports generated automatically, which shows your spending by categories. We can make this experience even more engaging with gamified challenges. For instance, let's take a look at this example of mortgage. We can do double click insights, not just for the short term, but for the long term. We can generate a challenge to help you save more, to pay your mortgage down much faster, and very positive reinforcements like overachiever to help you stay motivated. Now let's look at something a little bit more interesting, seeing into the future. Our tools like cash flow management make it simple and easy for people to stay on top of what they have left to spend or what's upcoming. Overdraft is a vicious cycle, and knowing your limit is key. Banks can link standing orders and invoices and build overview of upcoming transactions for consumers. Some other tools could be identifying subscriptions that you don't need. Now let's look at gamified personal finance, my personal favorite. This is our money monster, which makes saving a lot more fun. Our money monster, for instance, focuses on making impact in small attainable increments so that you don't feel it. It's an AI generated tool. And you would be surprised to see how fast you can save more without even realizing it. Here is the subscription tool on the screen. Personalization, swipe right, swipe left to give the expense your own unique category, or send people offers they will actually use from merchants which they frequent. In the age of information overload, we can simplify user lives by personalizing their experience. Help them choose the best options which are most relevant for them. Some other ways we help banks consumers are through consolidation of their accounts under one platform, spending reports at a consumer's fingertips, suggestions of user friendly challenges to make savings a lot more fun and to take the chore out of it, personalized nudges, actionable insights, and making budgeting fun. Budgeting is not anyone's favorite activity, but now we need it to survive. Banks can enable automatic generation of reports and insights, some of them you've seen. An example of an easy to follow multi-dimensional insight report with automatically categorized expenses. While we talk a lot about our retail customers, often one of the most underserved segment in most countries is the SMEs. Small businesses need cash flow assistance now more than ever. Give your business customers an instant view of their company, finances, and enable them to take action. Some areas where they need most help: the right credit and saving products at the right time, to avoid last minute liquidity problems, use community engagement to drive activity and impact, peer comparison, SMEs that started in your sector around the time that you were founded are doing these best practices to stay afloat. Aggregate overview of company finances, expense reports, which are easy to follow, and generated automatically, overview of recent and upcoming transactions, and very, very useful, relevant insights, nudges, and product recommendations. While we talk a lot about banking and banking services and managing your budgets and planning your savings, can banks also help customers and the planet at the same time? We talked about this a little bit earlier, where customers are becoming more and more aware about climate change, and they are expecting more from the companies that they interact with and from their governments. Now, in a study, in a Meniga study, 80% of people surveyed worried about climate change. 80% want to use a banking app which can help them estimate their carbon footprint. 77% want to follow good advice to reduce their carbon footprint. Provide customers with an overview of their carbon footprint and options to offset via certified programs like UN Climate Change Program, for instance, or create high impact challenges to reduce the carbon footprint. So banks can empower their customers with carbon insights and enable their customers to understand their carbon footprint and empower them to make a difference. This is a win-win-win situation, and we say that only because for people, by informing themselves, are able to take more meaningful action by making realistic choices, which is either to better their carbon footprint or offset it by donating to relevant causes. This helps people feel better about their lives, replacing despair and apathy. For businesses, they benefit from differentiation against competitors. And in turn, they're also closely aligning themselves with the causes that their customers care about, and hence building customer loyalty. And finally, banks. In addition to engaging more with their customers, they gain way more information about customer behavior. Banks can give customers an eco coach in addition to a financial coach. Meniga is an expert at helping banks. And we do this by working with banks, by partnering with them closely and helping them meet their goals. We strongly believe that by putting people first, banks can serve way more customers and implement more use cases. Helping customers improve their financial lives and helping banks drastically increase customer engagement and revenue at the same time. Our solutions today have helped more than 90 million digital user lives. Our banking clients are spread across more than 30 countries, and today we are humbled and proud to be helping more than 165 banks. But don't take our word for it. Ask our clients about Meniga. So for instance, in 2019, we launched some remarkable projects. UOB launched the first gamified digital bank in ASEAN. UniCredit in Europe saw a 98% increase in transactions from their digital app. And MOI by Credito Agricola in Portugal launched a cloud-based comprehensive digital bank to compete with challenger banks. So what are the key takeaways for today? If you remember nothing else from this presentation, please do remember these top three things. Digital channels are more important than ever, especially so after the COVID crisis. So banks must be agile in their digital transformation. Many of the digital trends like e-commerce and digital usage is not going away. These trends are here to stay. Two, banks must deliver the tools people need for financial self-help. They have to empower their customers to help themselves. And three, the most important, it is in times of crisis that banks create lifelong customer loyalty. If you would like to learn more about us and our solutions, search for Meniga and have a chat with us. And thanks very much again for your time.